Hey guys, and welcome back to the farmhouse, and welcome to a week in the life of my sourdough starter. So this is something I have gotten a lot of requests for, just like how do I use our starter for a family of 6 on a weekly basis? Like, what are the things that I make? How do I maintain it to make this the easiest possible starter ever? So that's what we're going to go into today, a week in the life of my sourdough starter. And we are starting on Monday. So normally on Mondays, about 8 o'clock in the morning, I will start using our starter to mix dough for sandwich bread. We use the sandwich bread for sandwiches. The kids just like to eat it for breakfast. So Mondays are my sandwich bread days. If you want the recipe for the sandwich bread, I'll leave a link below for it. It is on our website. So Mondays are sandwich bread, and that normally uses all of my starter for the day. For this particular week, my dad had actually asked for an artisan loaf to take to a friend's house for dinner. So instead of making 2 sandwich loaves with this dough, I actually made 1 sandwich loaf, and then the other one, instead of forming it like a loaf in like a sandwich loaf, I formed it just in a round loaf, and it actually turned out really good. It was easy. My only complaint with it was that I cooked it in the Dutch oven, and I didn't leave the lid off of the Dutch oven long enough, so it really didn't get that like hard, crispy outer, but they loved it. That's all that mattered, and they said it tasted really good. So my sandwich bread recipe makes 2 loaves. You can do 2 sandwich breads, or like I did this week, I did 1 sandwich bread and 1 round loaf. And I did put it in a proofing basket to help it keep its shape. And because it is winter and our house is cold in the winter, I put both loaves on a heat mat to keep them warm and to help them rise. My routine is to always feed my starter at night. It's what I do every night before I go to bed. I do 150 grams of all-purpose flour and 150 grams of water, and that gives me more than enough starter for all the things that I make throughout the week. If you are new here, we are a family of 6, sometimes 7, depending on if my dad's around. So we go through a lot. This particular week, I did forget to use and feed my starter on Tuesday. I was not feeling well this week, and I just did not get to it on Tuesday. So the first thing I did Wednesday night actually, was do a discard. I discarded our starter, put it into a bowl, set it off to the side so that I could use that later to make waffles. So I didn't do for a day. I just discarded it and fed. I do have a very healthy starter, so I was able to do that. And then first thing Thursday morning, we had actually gone through all of the bread that I had made earlier in the week, so I had to make bread again. So I made 2 sandwich loaves again on Thursday. Like I said, recipe is on our website. I will leave a link below for you. It does use 300 grams of sourdough starter, and it makes 2 loaves. And of course, on Thursday, after using the starter, I forgot to feed it. So Friday morning, I made sure the first thing that I did after breakfast was feed our sourdough starter because I wanted to make bagels later that night. So the first thing I did Friday was feed the sourdough starter, and then I put the starter in our living room near the wood-burning stove so that it would rise faster. And Friday was also the day that I finally used that discard from earlier in the week. I used the discard to make some waffles for Jamie and Marisol for breakfast. Waffle recipe is in our Everyday Sourdough Discard cookbook. That is linked below for you as well if you are interested in checking that out. And I cannot say enough about this waffle maker. This is a Dash waffle maker, and normally the Dash waffle makers are just the single waffle. This is actually a 4 round waffles. This is a game changer for me when it comes to making waffles, making a lot of waffles at one time for our large family. So if your kids like waffles, if you like waffles and you plan on making waffles on a regular, you need this waffle maker. It is game changer. There's a link below for you. I think I got rid of all of our other waffle makers because this one is amazing and does everything we need, and it is so quick. After dinner on Friday, our sourdough starter had reached its peak and it was ready to use. So it was perfect timing because I wanted to make bagels for Saturday. To make our bagels, I always used our stand mixer because the dough is a little bit tougher and tighter. So we made bagels, and the kids thought it was funny. I kept saying that the gluten in the flour was angry, so they went around calling the bagels angry bagels for the rest of the night. On Saturday morning, the bagels were ready to shape and ready to let them rise. So why the kids watched cartoons, shaped all of the bagels. The recipe makes 8 bagels. I always double this recipe so that we have extras for the next day or later on in the week. So with the bagels, you shape them and then you let them rise again. Then you boil them and bake them. Because our house was cold, I actually let them do their rise in the oven with the light on, which really did help make them nice and fluffy. And of course, the kids absolutely loved them. They, I think, asked for seconds after the bagels were done, and we told them no, they had to wait, but they absolutely loved their bagels. And then on Saturday night, I actually did not use all of the sourdough starter to when I was making the bagels. So what I did was I discarded the rest of it into the trash can. I don't have a problem doing this. I know a lot of people, it is controversial. People just don't like you're wasteful. For me, it is the easiest thing to do if I don't have time, but I know that it needs to eat. Or if I use some of it and not all of it, I will discard some of it in the trash can. It doesn't bother me, but it is definitely a personal preference that you have to decide. And then on Sunday, I made muffins. So we made sourdough zucchini muffins. This is just a quick and easy breakfast for the kids, and they absolutely love them. But another go-to sourdough recipe for us that is in our everyday sourdough cookbook. Something you will notice throughout the week is that I always use a scale when I am baking. It just makes it easier. It's less dishes. And I just find that measuring is more accurate. If you want to know more about using a scale in your baking, we do have an article on our website. So I will link that below for you as well. But I hope you guys have enjoyed the week in the life of our sourdough starter. If you are ready to start your sourdough adventure, I highly recommend that you join us in the Rustic Roots Collective. We have many, many lessons on sourdough, how to get started, how to maintain, and some of our go-to recipes for a busy mama of four who spends a lot of time in the kitchen. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. And if you have any questions about sourdough, make sure you leave them in the comments below.